I know it's been a while since I've made one of these, but I want to put this video out because there's actually been quite a few exciting developments in the camera industry. Now, as many of you know, this has been my go-to camera, and I love this camera, the Canon Eos R3. It is every bit the professional body that you expect from a brand like Canon, and I think rightly so. Their unofficial flagship, but rightly so it is their flagship. It shoots 6K internal RAW. It is a very good codec. You get to do all the RAW adjustments just like you would do on the red footage, which I'm filming right now on the Komodo. It's a great camera, but it is a large, as you can see, it's pretty big, a large camera, and when you put a lens on it, it becomes even larger, and then the weight starts to become an issue. So this is a camera that in my mind is a deliberate camera. It's a camera that you wouldn't take by chance, just happen to have on you like you would your iPhone. This is the kind of camera that you take when you absolutely need to get out there or want to get out there. The purpose is filming or taking, you know, high quality pictures. That's where this comes into play. It's not a casual camera. But in my use, I'm not a professional, you know, photographer or anything. I really want a camera that I can take anytime casually. I mean, this has its use for taking pictures of my pets when they're being active and jumping around. Wow, you can get amazing shots with this camera. But probably 90% of the time, I'm just out and about and I want to capture footage of the occasion. So with that in mind, I recently picked up a camera, and I'm late to the game on this one, but I picked up the Fuji X-H2S. I'd shied away from Fuji. Fuji film, in my experience, I bought a bunch, I mean a bunch, of X-T3s back in the day because I love the idea. They were very kind of vintage, classic feeling to me, retro, and I loved it. And I loved the fact that they had built-in film simulations and you could add grain into the image, something that back then a lot of people commented on. But think about it, right now on the brand new $80,000 Arri Alexa 35, Arri has added the ability to add bake-in grain into your imagery. So I think that just shows you that maybe in this particular case, Fujifilm was ahead of their time. Now, why do I love this camera? This camera, first of all, is so much smaller, look at the size difference, than my Canon Eos R3, which is still, I'm not knocking the Canon, it's a great camera. But I will say this for the Fuji. Size-wise, this is far more easy to carry. Is it a pocket camera? No. But it is easy to carry. And with a smaller lens, granted this is the 18mm 1.4, great lens, great lens. This is the equivalent of about a 28mm on a full-frame sensor. This is, in my opinion, a very lovely lens to shoot with. But that said and done, this camera has a lot of features that are not only appealing to photographers, things like the built-in film simulations, and you know, I played with those for a while. For something you just want to put out there on social media or something, that's a great format to go with. But if you want something that's going to be more, you know, flexible in post, then you can also record in RAW. So that tends to be what I do. Sometimes I go with the JPEG, sometimes I go with the RAW, but I like having that flexibility to go with either one, which pleases me. So with that said and done, this is a wonderful, wonderful stills camera. I just picked up this retro looking flash, and my goal with this is to get some really kind of classic 1970s vibe pictures, and I think this is going to come in clutch. So for video now, wow, this camera for video is something I think is great, and I've had little moments. I haven't mastered this by any means. So I don't think I'm going to show you any footage because I don't feel comfortable with the exposing of the images, the processing and post of the images. I just don't think that I'm there. And this is the kind of thing I'm going to take my time with it. I want to get to learn this camera because I've seen people that know what they're doing. It's not current company, but I've seen people that know what they're doing really get some nice images. There is a tendency that if you don't know what you're doing with this camera, that your images will be too blue, and that, in my opinion, is just not a good look. It's not a good look. But when exposed and graded correctly, this little camera can actually put out some really nice imagery. I've had a few hits, but I probably have more misses than hits, and it's not the camera, it's me. I know this camera can do it. Now, when you're recording, I almost always shoot in the 6.2K open gate mode, which is, you know, I believe it's a 2:3 aspect ratio. I'm always recording in that. And I like the flexibility in post that I can then go ahead and reframe as I see fit my images. It's just a wonderful thing to be able to do. And the other thing that I haven't done with this, but I probably will in the future, is utilize anamorphic lenses with it. It'll be something I try. I'm definitely going to play with it. I would love to see Fujifilm put an anamorphic D-squeeze option in this, and I would also like to see Fujifilm put in the option for shutter angle as opposed to simply shutter speed. I think that would make video work on this camera so much easier. So those are some things I'm looking for. And if they could do like Panasonic did and make this flash sync, also do time code, then I think the camera would probably get Netflix approved if they could do that. But it's a great camera, and if you haven't tried one, if you've been, like I said, I had a bunch of Fujifilm cameras, they all went bad on me, and I swore off Fujifilm. It was years before I came back to them, but now I'm happy to say so far this one has been fine. I did buy the warranty on it 4 years because I'm not taking any chances, but so far it's been great. And will it replace my red? Well, no, it's not going to replace my red. This is not a replacement for a red Komodo. If you have a red Komodo and you go into this, maybe you need the money, I don't know, but this is not in the same league as a red Komodo. But that said, can it look as good as a red Komodo? Yes. I saw a video the other day about a whole Hollywood movie, $7 million budget, was shot on a Sony Alpha Series camera. Well, of course it was made by Sony Pictures, the movie, so I put two and two together. That's why it was shot on a Sony Alpha camera. But the point is that yes, with good production value, you can make any camera look as good as pretty much any camera. All of these cameras, including the Arri Alexa 35 and all of these cameras are essentially within the 95% of each other at this point. All of them are within 95% of each other. So if you know what you're doing, you can get wonderful footage out of any of these cameras. Now, why do I love this one? Like I said, it's very easy to work with. It has built-in ProRes. It has built-in ProRes LT, which is what I record my video, well, not record, but what I edit all my videos in, well, deliver them in onto YouTube. This is a great camera. And by the way, the audio adapter I have for this camera, for the Canon Eos R3, all I did was I bought the little piece that goes on, the adapter, and it converted the audio interface, the audio adapter part, to be compatible with the Fuji X-H2's hot shoe. So that was a win. I love this camera, it's great. Nothing bad to say about it, but that's not the one I'm actually excited about. The camera I'm excited about is a grail camera. It is the kind of thing that few will own, many will lust after, some won't get it at all. Some will be like, why? But I think it's awesome. And that is this camera. This, what I have here, some of you may know, this is the Leica M11 Monochrom. And this thing is the most amazing camera I have used in years. Why do I say that? Because this can do things that none of these cameras can do, and I'll explain. When I shoot with this camera, I did an experiment. I shot the Canon Eos R3 and compared it directly with the Leica M11 Monochrom. And I raised up the ISO. I kept raising up the ISO, and I basically went from I wanted to see what they could do. I wanted to see what clean looked like on both cameras. I wanted to see what high ISO looked like on both cameras. And on this camera, honestly, on the Canon EOS R3, my limits to get a decent image, a very usable image, stop at about 10,000. You get to about 10,000, which is by the way, a pretty freaking good limit. I remember back when I'm at early Sonys, I was stopping at 3,200, and then there was a breakthrough with one of the cameras I got. I was finally able to get to the magical 6400 ISO, and I thought that was the best thing in the world. Even today, I think it's a very usable ISO range. But when I when I compared these two cameras, I took this up to its limit, its usable limit, and then I went beyond. I went to like the emergency limit, which in my mind is 25,000. Past that, everything gets really bad fast. I mean, 25,000 is not something I would use unless it was like for a witness, this is the guy that did it kind of thing. But I used this camera and I shot it. And then I compared the images at 25,000 ISO on this camera. And this at 25,000 ISO, it's not even getting started. Usable, it's clean. It's just clean. I would say this at 25,000 ISO is as good as this Canon Eos R3 at its best ISO, at like base. This is an amazing camera. Now, if I were to compare this camera's 25,000 ISO equivalent to what this is, it's, in other words, it's very high range, you would find that its very high range is 200,000. I'm not joking, 200,000. Its usable range, remember on the Canon Eos R3, the top usable range is 10,000. On this, top usable range is about 100,000. If you're fussy, maybe 80. If you want pristine, look at about 50. But that's a huge difference in range. I actually would find the images from this camera very usable. At 50,000 is very usable, very clean. 100,000 is usable. So you can see that these cameras now have advanced to such a state that we are in new territory. But I wanted to bring this one up especially. This one's been talked about a lot. You know, there's a lot of videos out there on the Fuji. It's a great camera. I'm going to do comparisons of this. I don't know. You tell me what you want to see. Do you want to see the Fuji versus the R3? Do you want to see the Fuji versus the Red? That'll be interesting. Do you want to see what this can actually do? This is a very interesting camera. Now, the other reason I love this, before I go, the other reason I love this, just want to share with you, is that because this kind of camera, this rangefinder, makes you actually have to learn photography. I know I've been shooting with cameras for years, and I thought I knew what I was doing when I was using this, and it's a complicated camera, and I know how to use it, and I get very good images with it. But the camera helps me. Yeah, the camera helps me an awful lot. With this, you are on your own. And if you do not understand how to use it, if you don't understand how photography works, how light works, how shadows works, how exposure works, how to use all the different functions of this camera, and how to apply that into an artistic creation, then your pictures are going to look like crap. There it is. You let me know what you want to hear about, and I'll do a video on that. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and I will catch you next time.